welcome back to my channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to talk about the major release of the Spring Boot 3.5. So I am talked about one of the release, that is TaskDecorator. As of February 16, 2025, Spring Boot 3.5 has not been officially released. However, two milestones previews, that is 3.5.0 milestone 1 and milestone 2, have been made available. So it's actually introducing several features and the enhancement. One of these is the TaskDecorator. So before going to the detail of it, let's try to understand that what is it. So if a TaskDecorator bin is present in your applications, so it is now associated with scheduled tasks. The Threadful Task Schedule Builder have been updated to apply these configurations for programmatic scheduler created by the Auto Configure Builder. Okay, so this is about this. So let's try to understand that what are the major release that are major enhancement that is done under the Spring Boot 3.5. So first of one, this automatic task decorator for scheduled tasks. We don't need to do manual configurations for this. Second one, the security context and MDC improvements, like context is preserved automatically. It's also support virtual threads for better resource efficiency and for high concurrency workloads. Another one, it's optimize the exception handling. In a more informative ways, basically we can logs when any errors occurs in scheduling tasks. Okay, so these are the features, major enhancement that is done under this Spring Boot 3.5. Next we will talk about that what is TaskDecorator and why do we need it. So TaskDecorator is a mechanism in Spring Boot that allows you to wrap the schedule and asynchronous tasks with additional behavior such as security context propagations, logging or tracings. Why we need it? So if you say in case of the schedule and the asynchronous tasks in Spring Boot execute in separate threads. Okay, it's basically leading to issues such as logging security context, MDC logs and tracing metadata. Manual solutions require custom implementations which add complexities and maintenance overhead, right? If we need to manually implement the TaskDecorator, so it will actually enhance the overhead or maintenance the overhead basically, right? So that difference actually automatically imported in this 3.5. Just here I am trying to difference about this one, why comparing with the Spring Boot 3.4 versus 3.5. So if we see over here, the TaskDecorator actually support for the 3.5 and earlier manual setup was required, but for this 3.5 it's automatically supported. In case of the context propagations lost in the async tasks, but Spring Boot 3.5 it basically automatically preserved. In case of the logging must be manually, but 3.5 it maintained automatically. For the performance optimization in 3.4 it's the standard threads. In case of the 3.5 it's the virtual thread their support. For the exception handling, basically there are some kind of limited stack trace info, because as I said we lost some of the infos in async mode due to this lack of configurations and all. So that's why it's a limited stack info, but here it will basically enhance error tracking. So these are the basically comparisons for the recent release that is done under this Spring Boot 3.5 with the earlier versions of this Spring Boot. Okay, so let's go for the further. So if we want to create any project basically, then what is required. So here I just mentioned few steps, what are the dependencies and what Java version you need. So these are the things that you need to use in your project for creating any project. Okay, next, if we use this TaskDecorator in Spring Boot 3.4, then what are the issues basically we may face, that are the I have mentioned over here. You can face we need to you need to manually configure the task decorator for scheduled tasks. Then security context and MDC were lost unless explicitly handled. More code complexities and maintenance overhead, right? Because we need to write the code to support this task decorator manually into your applications. So it will basically uh, it will increase the maintenance overhead. Okay, so these are the implications that we may face while we will implement the task decorator in Spring Boot 3.4. Now, implementing the task decorator in Spring Boot 3.5 in the new version, so it's basically automatically implement the task decorator whenever we are going to implement any scheduled tasks. So it's also preserve the necessary context. What is the advantage of it? So the advantage wise, the task decorator automatically imported, applied in the scheduled task, so we don't need to write the manually code over here. Security context and MDC logging context are preserved without extra configurations. Less boilerplate code, easier to maintain, right? So we don't need to so as scheduled tasks, task decorator automatically imported here, implemented over here, so we don't need to write those boilerplate code, right? And also it will improve the performance with virtual threads. So these are the things we can achieve with this Spring Boot 3.5 for task decorator. So in case of the real world use cases, like where we can use this one, so for if we want to process some kind of async order processings, let's say ensure authentication context persist, then log tracing with MDC, and if we want to monitor the performance, then there we can use this task decorator. Okay, so these are the things about the task decorator about in release in this Spring Boot 3.5. If you guys have anything, please do let me know in the comment section. Thanks for your time. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.